Offstage podcast with me, Ben, and no Adam this week. It's typical. I was off last week, so Adam did it on his own, and this week Adam is away himself. So this week, rather than being sat here all on my own, I have decided to bring somebody along who's very kindly volunteered to join us this week to keep Adam's virtual seat warm. So please welcome to the Encore Offstage podcast, Lucy Gazzard.
Hello, Lucy. Ben.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good, thank you. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. And yeah, I'm fine, thank you. But thank you for stepping in, like literally at the last minute. Texting you last night, please come on. I need somebody to talk to, so I'm not just talking to a wall all for the next hour.
Well, I'm just hoping I can fill Adam's shoes well enough. I mean, he must be like, what, size 9 or something?
I think so. I mean, they are very big shoes to fill.
They are very big shoes to fill.
But it might mean that I get a bit of respite from the accents for once. So that'd be good. No more silly voices from Adam, because I've got you on instead today. But this week we are joined by Chris Clarke, the theatre photographer, and we'll be chatting to him a little bit later on in the show. We are going to be, you are going to be testing my theatre knowledge this week in our weekly theatre quiz. We know we missed one last week because I wasn't here, but this week, Lucy, you've got a nice quiz for me, which I'm terrified about.
That's right. I can't wait to grill your brain with that.
We had some comments saying that people were surprised that our musical theatre knowledge wasn't as good as they expected. So now there's like a lot to live up to, and it's really worrying. I'm like, oh God, I've got to prove that I am worthy of this podcast, that I'm worthy of all this great podcast. And then, of course, as always, we'll have our Q&A section, which we hope will prove to be a really, really fun one. But first, we have a special announcement. Woo! This is where I need to put one of Adam's little jingles in there, little jingles that he likes to sing sometimes, because this is a very special announcement that on the 20th of December this year, we are going to be releasing our last episode of the season, which this year will be our Christmas special. And we are asking for everybody to get involved. As it's Christmas and it's a theatrical podcast, we will be talking about pantomime. So we are asking everybody who listens to send us an email, a text, a carrier pigeon, whatever. You can even now send us voice messages, which will pop into the podcast, about your fun and funny pantomime experiences. Whether you've seen 20 pantomimes, whether you've been on stage in 3 or 4 pantomimes, we are asking for your panto anecdotes, and we are going to be putting them all together in a bumper feature-length special episode that'll be going up on December 20th to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, so grab your dames and mother gooses and get those questions in.
We want to hear from you, and this is our way of thanking the audience for such an amazing first season, for the response that's been incredible, but also to get everyone involved, to get sending your fun stories that we can read out, or even coming on the podcast. If you want to, you can come on for 10 minutes and tell us a fun story, and then we'll kick you out again. But the point is that we want everybody to get involved with this amazing final episode of the season. You have until December let me just check the date, December the 12th, Saturday, December 12th. We need everything in. After that, no more, nada, that's the end. But Saturday, December 12th is the deadline for all of your panto anecdotes. So please send them in, and we will sift through all of them, and we'll be here for as long as it takes. But we really, really, really want to hear from you. Now, talking of Christmas, Lucy, has Christmas come to the Gazzard household yet?
Well, I don't know if you can see, Ben, but in my corner over here, my present bed, I've been wrapping, getting it all together. I showed it my mum the other day. I was like, oh, look, I've got my present room. And then I showed her my meagre offerings, and she laughed in my face at that. So.
Of course. Christmas is so cool. I absolutely love it. If I was to point the camera around the room, and you can see
the grotto,
the Christmas grotto that is in my my dining room currently, which hopefully we're going to be using in some capacity at Christmas time on our social media. So please make sure you follow us on there, and you can see the Christmas grotto in its entirety with all of its seven Christmas trees.
I'm so jealous of that grotto. We haven't even got a tree up.
I love it. I mean, I mean, I've got the snowman. I've got everything. I am sorted.
Love it.
But yes, stay tuned for that. We're going to be putting some pictures up and hopefully using it in some kind of Christmas greeting this year. So I think I've talked at you, Lucy, for long enough now. It's time now to move on to our Q&A section of the podcast.
Is this where you're going to punish me and grill me before I grill you with the quiz later?
Yes, this is my revenge here, isn't it? So now it's time to move on to our Q&A section of the podcast, in which this week we are asking the question, what theatre fails have we had?
Oh,
and I mean, this theatre fails just happen. They're just a staple of theatre. You can't have a good production without something going drastically wrong. And I know Adam's got some amazing anecdotes, so next week I'll be putting the same question to him and he can give his response. But first, let's go to you, Lucy. What theatre fails have you experienced in your illustrious career on the stage?
Oh, well, I think the first one's not so much a fail as a misobservation of mine. So, as you can see, normally I have to wear glasses, Ben, but on this particular occasion, I was doing a panto, my first panto. So after I finished getting my qualification, I was like, right, I want to get back into theatre again because I used to do loads as a kid. And so my first panto was with Kaleidoscope Players, and we were doing Rapunzel. And they were like, do you want to dress up as a mummy in this UV dance scene? I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great.
Of course.
And I went for it with the jerking movements. I thought it was great. And one of the actors came up to me afterwards and he was like, you were terrifying, you made a child cry. And I was like, no, they weren't crying. No, I just thought this child in the front row was laughing. I thought they were loving it. No, the child was like close to tears. They were terrified. I was like reaching out to them. He said, no, they were petrified.
Traumatized this poor child. Oh, God.
That's when you know you've made it, when you've terrified a child in a panto.
Oh God, that's of course you terrify a child. It's very you.
I felt so bad. I thought they were really enjoying it. No, they're just close to tears. But God. in the same show as well. So dress rehearsal, they were sort of like, right, these are the people who are allocated to their curtains. They didn't leave me to it because I'm not the most technical person. I would have been fiddling around for ages. But on this particular scene, because the two people allocated to the curtains to get it open and ready, they, for whatever reason, were taking a bit longer than usual to get into their costume. So the dame was on stage in the dark, ready to go. And I'm there going, they should be here by now, but we can't start till the curtains are open. So I'm panicking, and all you can hear is just me quietly swearing, going, I can't get the curtain open, just having a mini breakdown. And he's like, oh, it's a bit dark, isn't it? There's just me going, ah! So that was a bit nightmarish. And it always seems to be pantos where I have fails. There was one year I was playing Jack, and we'd got to the pinnacle moment where the beanstalk's coming down. I was like, yeah, get ready, kids. Swung for it. Beanstalk remained up.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay. And I was like, let's try that again. Swung again, and the thing just wasn't going down. I'm looking at the stage hand going, why is it not going down? He's just like, I'm trying. I'm just like, okay, why don't we have some encouragement, children?
I think that's the thing of panto. If something goes wrong, you can just stall, can't you?
I know, it's not like other shows. I think panto, if something goes wrong and you sort of recover from it, people really enjoy. Like, if your wig falls off, who cares? Just, pick it up and shove it back on again. No one's going to care with a panto fail.
Did the beanstalk eventually go down?
It eventually went down after about 5 or 10 minutes.
Brilliant.
I bet some of the children must go, wow, Jack is really feeble.
Yeah, great. I mean, annoyingly, my fail story, I've only ever had one so far. I've only ever cocked up on stage once. And that was in the panto as well. So they are all in the pantomime. But this was a costume malfunction.
Oh no.
It was 2018. I was playing Dandini in a local production of Cinderella, and so I started in pantomime. I did 3 years in my local village panto, and it's where I started in amateur theatre before I went off and to do bigger stuff. And this one particular show, I had the tightest leather trousers you can possibly imagine. I still have them somewhere, but I literally was peeled in and out of these trousers every single night, and I had these sort of weirdly really thin leather boots, but with the thickest metal sole you can imagine on the bottom. And
look.
it was a look. And also I had a what was it, like an American teenage style sort of like red, not like a bomber jacket, but like with like the white extra sort of white stripes and stuff. I had one of those with like panto gold stuff stitched into it. It was great. Okay. Really camp. And this show, we don't think we had any sound effects for some weird reason. So I had to make the sound effect of knocking on a door. I was playing Dandini, so I was coming in with a shoe, going, Cinderella, try the shoe on. And so I was basically told to kick the floor really, really hard to make the door knocking sound. And it was like the penultimate night. And I just kicked this floor so hard that the metal part of my shoe comes away from the leather topping of the shoe. So I've got like this big bit of shoe flapping around at the bottom. And it's towards the end of the show, and I'm sort of like, I walk on set and I run on and I'm sort of dragging it along, and it's fine because it's all level. So I'm like, right, okay, I can get through it, get off stage. But then we have to go straight into the curtain call. And with panto curtain call, especially when you're playing the young, friendly, energetic character like I was, you have to run the camp panto run. I'm sure you know it. You have to run up the steps, take your bow, and walk down the front steps. You have to run up the steps at the side to get onto like the main staircase. So I went and I ran up these steps, and the bottom of this shoe was flapping around, got caught on one of the steps, and this shoe just gets stuck. But my body carries on. So the shoe's over there, and I've just fallen. So I trip, and I go flying. I'm sprinting up the staircase, and I just fly. And I fly down the other side of the staircase. And I'm sort of crap myself and get up and take the bow. And it was this night, and I went away later and then realised it was the night they filmed it. So now, forever, I have on this recording a video of me just falling and just tripping and just taking out a set with me. It was great. It always happens in panto.
Always.
With these really tight trousers, yeah, the fall was not fun. It was just, nah.
I mean, at least the saving graces, because when you said tight leather trousers, thinking it's going to be a split, he's going to bend, it's going to split.
I was so lucky. That show, that was the other one. I had shaving cream thrown in my face on one night. We just did it for a bit of fun on the last night, and it got in my eyes and my eyes swelled up. So that was really fun. They were like, here. And they sort of threw all the shaving cream in my face. And I was like, great. And I walked off set and my eyes just swollen, and I had to go back on, clean it off, and then run back on and do my next bit with all this like red blotchy lace.
Oh no.
That was fun. But those trousers survived. They managed to get through show week, and that I was impressed.
That is impressive. Well, yeah. I remember my dog making me trip up on stage. I wasn't even in the show. So okay. So it was when they were quite young. So like my Staffy Cross and like one of our Chi-Chis, you've met my Chihuahuas,
yes,
the little one. They were both in a production of Legally Blonde, like a junior production of Legally Blonde, central stage, and he would not go. He was playing Paulette's dog, and they'd got like a caravan built up, everything. He would not go through the door. Every single night, he'd go under the wall. I think he got through the door once, and then just went back under the wall.
Oh, God.
He loved it, but at the end, because obviously they were my dogs, I'd walk on with them at the end for them to take their little doggy bows. And, every other time it had gone completely fine. We'd gone up, they'd all applauded the dogs, did a great job, and then went. And I don't know why, but for this one particular night, I was walking on, everything's fine. And then Preston just went, "Oh, people," and just went for these people. I just went, "Love me." He absolutely loved it because people made a fuss, but he just, for whatever reason, I was going one direction, he decided to go off on the other. So I just,
no.
just fell.
Brilliant. Oh, God.
Didn't even look graceful at all. I just went down. Stumbled on the stage.
Well, they say never work with children or animals. I think we're proving that pantomime and Legally Blonde, nah.
I know, kids and dogs, it was never going to end well.
No.
But yeah, but also as well, one theatre fail, Ben, you would actually be aware of this, because this was when we did the Haunted Cabin together.
Mm.
Now, do you remember sort of, we were told, you got to bring your backpack on.
That was probably my piece of direction, wasn't it? Because I did that show.
What did I do on opening night though, Ben? Forgot me bloody backpack.
You did? Oh my God, I forgot you did that. And you had to unpack it throughout this whole scene.
I know.
Oh God.
I'd got this massive backpack. I was ready to go.
Yes.
And I was so rearing to go. Because obviously the whole start of it is we're caught in a storm, coming up and down into a cabin, and what do? Leave my backpack and walk on. The thing is, I was holding my shoulders.
Yeah.
Shoulder strap, so I just walk on, no backpack.
Oh, God.
Oh no. I was like, well, I can't run off now and grab my bag. So I was just like, yes, I've just been wandering up this mountain with no provisions. And then later on, I snuck the bag on. And this was the night when Daniel's parents had come. So I'd snuck the bag on later. I had stuff that I needed in later. And they were like, was that bag not there in the first half? I was like, yeah, I kind of just placed it there.
It's great. Because we on that show wasn't particularly nice to you, because it opened with you on your own for a good 5 minutes, just sort of exploring this cabin. And I remember for a lot of it later on, you were having to unpack this backpack. Yeah. And it was I was doing sound as well, so I was right up in the sound box, so I was probably not concentrating. But I do remember now you forgetting that, and in the interval you putting that on set.
Yeah, I'll just casually place it here. But yeah, that was a fun show though, because the screaming. I remember my dad coming up to me afterwards, and I thought it was so funny because the amount of people that just sort of jumped.
Yeah. It was so good. We just had you randomly. Yeah, it was great. I remember when we had auditions for that, I was on the panel, and I found on my audition notes the other day, I was clearing out my acting cupboard, and I found my original Haunted Cabin audition notes from last year, and I had all your names listed, and I had next to it, I had what I thought you had to scream. Do you remember in your audition you had to do a scream? And I found you, and I thought next to you it said nice scream. I was like, that's really helpful. I think you got the role on the fact that I wrote down nice scream.
Oh, probably. I've got good lungs on me. I remember my dad coming up to me afterwards, and he'd been complaining. Oh God, my dad is very sort of open with things, too open. He was telling my best friend of over 20 years had brought her boyfriend. He'd never met him, and he was telling him about his dicky tummy he'd had in the day.
Oh God,
a bit not as politely as that, but yeah. And he came me afterwards, and he was like, oh Luce, he was like, that scream you could play for Hammer Horror with that kind of scream. Like, I nearly pooped myself. I was just like, yes,
good. That's the effect we were going for with that one.
What I was after.
Oh, that's great. That's such a fun show.
Not a dry seat in the audience after that scene.
No. I remember now, I think even me and Jack up in the tech box, we jumped with that. And even though I had the script in front of me, and I knew where it was coming, because I'd written in my script, scream is on this page, because I knew that if I jumped, I might hit my button to put a sound effect on. I
remember another show I did, the screaming actually caused a fail most nights, because we were doing Big, and there's one bit where he's like, oh, if you need to go to the toilet, and I just scream, and he's meant to say, yeah, I wouldn't bother with that. Every time I screamed, he forgot his lines. So I just sort of come in early, because, his prompt line, he'd always forget it, because the scream would catch him off guard. But there was one night where he actually remembered, and I was just expecting him to forget, because every other time I'd screamed, he'd just gone, oh, and I was just there waiting. I was just like, oh, he actually said his line. I was like, I've got to go on now.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I think we've talked about that for quite a long time now, but I think that's the end of our Q&A section. That's been great. That was a great Q&A section. But it's time now for you to get your revenge in our quiz. So,
yes. Got my quiz lined up and ready for you.
We have turned again to, of course, to What's on Stage, who provides with all our quizzes and theatre news. We have to shout them out, otherwise we get accused of nicking their stuff. But you've got quite a challenging one for me this week.
I have, Ben. So this quiz that I've got for you this week is, can you guess the stage show from its final line?
No. Do I win because I got the right answer?
Yes, you get a Christmas wish.
Oh, good. I've got enough of them around at the moment. Oh dear. Right, let's get this over and done with.
Okay, are you ready for this? This is your first question.
Oh God.
So, the line is, who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Oh, now, this is nice and easy. I
Oh,
love
is
this.
it?
For me, it is because and Adam wouldn't get this. I think he might have just watched it recently for the first time. We had to persuade him to watch it. So I think it's Hamilton.
Yes, let's have a look and see. You are very right. It is Hamilton.
Woohoo.
Didn't even give you the options there. You are
I forgot. Sorry, I forgot there's options in this quiz. I was just like, yeah, now I know it. I don't need. Who needs options?
Who needs options when I've got brains?
I only know it because I love the harmony on that line. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
right,
I only watched Hamilton this year as well.
Yeah, I remember you were at a Hamilton watch party and you weren't particularly impressed by it.
No, I don't. I think it's because I liked sort of Daveed Diggs when he went "What Did I Miss?" because it was sort of and campy. I loved sort of the more musical songs like Burn, but I just wasn't a big fan of like the rapping, to be honest. It's like, I bet there's gonna be so many people giving me hate over it, but I just wasn't very musical for me.
Yeah, and we're going to divulge a bit here, but yeah, I said before on the podcast, I listened to the Cast album when it first came out in 2016, and I was shoved it by all my theatre friends. They were like, oh, go listen to this, it's great, it's the best thing ever. And I didn't like it, but as soon as I watched it, I did appreciate it because I understood where it all fit together, and it's made more sense now. But yeah, again, some of the more musical fits, the King George stuff, and yeah, let's say Burn and What Did I Miss are all.
Don't get me wrong, fantastic staging. It was like impeccable choreography and staging. Just wasn't that big on the songs. Then bless him. I mean, Lin-Manuel, genius writer, but bless him, he can't sing, can he?
I don't want to say that on a public podcast and probably get trolled forever. But yeah, I don't think he can. It's awful.
I know, but I think there's a lot of people who agree with that opinion, and even he admits it. So.
I think he admits it, yeah.
Okay, question number 2. Are you ready?
Yes.
Give me your hands, if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends. So, was it Pippin, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Jersey Boys, or Finding Neverland?
Now, again, I'm going to attribute this to doing A-level and GCSE English, because as I have done quite a few times on the podcast, a lot of my answers have come from that. But I think that's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Midsummer
Night's Dream, you are 100% correct.
Well, hey! Oh, this is going much better than I feared. This is where it all falls apart, though.
Your school Shakespeare has done you well.
Yes. I'm glad I listened to that one lesson.
Okay, next question. How in one night have we come so far? Was it The Last 5 Years, Miss Saigon, Bat Out of Hell, or Guys and Dolls?
How in one night have we come so far? I think that might be Miss Saigon,
You are correct.
Oh my God.
Yes, I have to admit, I've never watched Miss Saigon, but it's one of those ones on my list that I really want to go and see.
I think I've seen a concert version or like the anniversary version once a long time ago, so I don't remember much, but I remember weirdly, I don't know why I knew that, but there we go. I knew that line.
Yeah, Bat Out of Hell, though, that is a great one for visuals.
I've not seen it, and I don't know the original album very well or at all. So I don't know it at all. I'm going to be honest. We talked about it before on the podcast, but I've just got no idea with that one. I feel really bad.
The visuals is spectacular.
Okay.
Okay, next one. There's how you add dress a cat. Was it?
Add dress, as in two separate.
Yeah, so here's how you add dress a cat. Was it cats? Cat on a hip tin roof, the Cat in the Fiddle, or the Lion King?
Well, that's got to be cats, right? Because it's cats.
You are correct. It is cat.
Good. I'm glad my early theatre knowledge didn't fail me there. Okay. Cats was the second show that I ever saw properly. So I'm not a show, musical, like a legit musical. Was the second one I ever saw, and I'm surprised it didn't put me off musicals for life. I'm not a Cats fan.
It's very out there, isn't it? Like, but the dancing and the costumes are stunning in it, though. I do think they're very creative on that aspect. Although the film, I never watched the film, but I saw the adverts, and that looked like a horror show.
The new one, yeah, I haven't seen it either. I know Adam went to go and see it, and we'll have to ask him at some point what he thought about it. But yeah, that was the equivalent to. It was just basically a slasher, wasn't it? It was that gory and terrifying. It was so scary. It was actual horrible. It was just so. Oh god, the weird motion capture on some of them, and
and when they hadn't CGI'd in pause, so you could see.
Yeah, Judy Dench's wedding ring was in there. Yes. Oh god. What? I don't know. I think they rushed that, but I don't know what. That was a year ago that happened. That feels like an age ago.
Do you know what they did that over? I was reading an article. It was meant to be Wicked, but they thought, no, we'll postpone a video, like a film version of Wicked, and we'll do Cats instead. Why?
Why? And I mean, Tom Hooper, the guy who directed that, also did the mediocre version of Les Mis, the film version, which I hate it personally. I know a lot of people like it, but nah. Get out of my Les Mis, Russell Crowe, please. Yeah, it was an interesting film, and I mean, if he does Wicked, it might be good. But looking at his track record, we've had Les Mis and Cats. Surely it can only get worse because it is on a downhill trajectory.
Yeah,
I have fears for Wicked.
You fear for it. Okay, here's your next question, Ben. You're marrying a very good woman.
Why, thank you.
Was The Cherry Orchard, A Doll's House, Twelfth Night, or Lady Windermere's Fan?
What? Sorry, what are you on about? I don't know. This is where it all falls apart for me, isn't it? I mean, sorry, but what? How much of a clue does that give you? You're marrying a very good. That could be any of them.
That's what I'm going to tell Daniel if ever he marries me.
That'll be it. That's gonna be your vows.
That's
what you'll be doing. Quoting whatever play this is. Oh god, I'm gonna guess 12th Night, but I don't know.
Wrong. It's Lady Windermere's Fan. Although, to be fair, I probably would have, if I'd got no concept, I would have stabbed in the dark 12th Night, because it sounds very sort of
yeah.
It
does, doesn't it? Okay, that cool. Next.
Come on, we need to pick up your record. You're doing so well.
I've got 5 out of 6 so far, haven't I?
Doing well. So, next one. And so I mourn him. I admit it with a certain alarm. Was it Dear Evan Hansen, A View from the Bridge, Sweeney Todd, or Death of a Salesman?
Now, it's either Death of a Salesman or A View from the Bridge. But which? I'm gonna give a random guess here and say A View from the Bridge, but I don't know.
You're correct.
Oh, get in.
Yes, good guess.
I was not happy with that. But let's oh, good.
Okay,
Right.
next one. We're all stars. So many stars. Stars.
Oh, just maxing out the headphones there. Thanks. Just deafen me slightly. We're all stars. So many stars.
So your options are Jesus Christ Superstar, Be More Chill, Starlight Express, or Mean Girls.
Now, I think I might know this because I was encouraged to watch the film quite recently by somebody, and I suffered through it. I'm going to say Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, you are absolutely correct with Mean Girls. Oh, I love Mean Girls.
I don't. Move on.
Oh, Ben, it's a great film.
It's not.
Absolutely
Someone
great.
forced me to watch it, and I'm not happy. Anyway,
we'll move on.
They know who they are. They listen to this podcast. They know who they are. Right.
You're a wonderful person for doing that.
No, they're really not. Right.
Your next one. You are fabulous creatures, each and every one, and I bless you. More life, the great work begins.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, God. Okay.
Yes, very sort of whimsical, that one. So was it Angels in America, Arcadia, Copenhagen, or Maine? I mean, you are a fabulous creature, Ben. They're not denying.
Thank you very much, Luce. I don't know. Let's just say whatever the last one. Maine. I don't know. I feel like I should know this.
It's actually Angels in America.
That makes me none the wiser, to be honest. I feel really bad for not knowing that. Whoops. We're going to get some angry emails. I can feel it.
Some angry keyboard typing.
Yes, some keyboard warriors over there. Right.
Okay, well, this one, hark back to your William Shakespeare with this one.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
This heavy act with heavy heart relate.
I know this because A-level English is paying off because I'm doing it for my A-level. That is Othello.
You are.
I'm there, my English teacher. I do know something. I am worthy of some grades. Please give me some grades. I know the last line of it.
I'm kind of thinking, just stick to your Shakespeare. This seems to be like your strong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good.
I have to admit, I always liked the more like dark, like productions, like Macbeth, William Shakespeare. I love a good sort of dark
I'm loving Othello. It's nice, and it's about jealousy and race and anger, and I'm like, get in. This is good. Right, on to our last one. I think I'm on 8 out of 10 so far.
You are. So this is your last one.
Ooh.
You ready?
Ready.
And happy ever after, I wish. Is it Candid, Godspell, Matilda the Musical, or Into the Woods?
Well, Matilda does end on a happily ever after, but I think that is Into the Woods.
You are correct. Bit of song time there.
Get in. Oh, I'm happy. So what was that? That was 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, 80%. I mean, that would be an A if we were grading.
Yeah, I mean, the plan is to add up all these scores out of a total, and then me and Adam will compare who's got the highest mark. But I did
winning so far.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with that. Well, thank you for an amazing quiz.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
And now it's time to move on to an interview. We've got an interview this week with theatre photographer Chris Clarke. So here's what happened when we caught up with him a little bit earlier on. Okay, and now it's time to move on to our big discussion, which this week we are joined by photographer Chris Clarke. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm okay. Yourselves?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Lucy, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, good. Got my granny blanket. I am fine here.
Sorted. We've got our hot drinks and we're all sorted.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Chris, you are a photographer, yes? You're a photographer and you are theatre as well, or just theatre?
I'm a photographer that does primarily theatre work, but I also do my own personal work. But people know me more for my theatre work. Yes.
Yeah. So I suppose we should really start at the beginning. So we're wondering, in a theatre context, why did you start going? Why was theatre the option, the photography option you went down, and what made you want to start that?
Well, I in about 2013, I've been doing photography for a couple of years. I just needed something as like a bit of a creative outlet, and I can't sing and dance, and I don't want to subject the world ever to my singing and dancing. It's not good unless you've had an awful lot of alcohol before, and it's still not good after that. So photography seemed a good outlet. It was technical, it was a bit geeky. I had one of my best friends is a photographer, so I was able to sort of learn a lot off him. And so I just kept learning. I kept teaching myself things off YouTube. And then in 2013, Mick Horvath, you may or may not know him, does a lot of performances around, was working with Four Blokes Theatre Company. And I think I remember the quote saying, "You've got a big camera, haven't you? Could you just come and take some photographs of a play we're doing a dress rehearsal?" So I'd never done them before, so I thought, well, yeah, okay, fair enough. And that's where I first actually met Adam. He was doing Of Mice and Men, and that was in 2013. And then they must have liked what I did, so they asked me back again to do the History Boys in 2014, I think it was. And that's where I met, again, Adam, and people like Matt Powell, Ollie, Keenan, all those sorts of people. And it sort of basically kept going from there. So the more you did, the more people you met, the more people sort of asked you to do. So I didn't sort of really sort of want to sort of get started, and it wasn't an aim. It was just sort of you accidentally fell into it, but you just sort of kept going with it. And the more I kept going with it, the more I enjoyed it. So that's generally sort of how I got started in it, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested with theatre photography. How difficult must it be, especially when you're doing a big musical or whatever, and there's hundreds of bodies on stage sprinting everywhere? How easy is it to get some good photos? Because I've seen photos, and you've taken photos of shows that I've worked on and stuff, and I've seen, and they're always amazing. How do you manage to get everything looking so polished in what is quite a frantic environment?
Oh, bless you for saying that. Well, first of all, you sort of start off with a bit of research. I will admit, I am not the most knowledgeable about plays and theatre, but so what I tend to do is when I get asked to do a show, I will go on stuff like YouTube, Wikipedia, Pinterest, anything really where I can glean information about the show, see what songs are being sung, what's the tone of this show, if it's a play, is it serious, is it a comedy, gauge the sort of the song list, and you can start to sort of see what, for example, in a musical, say like Cats, there's this showstopper songs, you know what's going off, and you know that there is always going to be dancers coming on here, there and everywhere. You can sort of see, but you just learn on the job, to be perfectly honest.
Very intuitive.
Yes, you just have to sort of, you try not to plan it too much to a certain extent, other than knowing where you are and what's sort of going on, but you just have to react to what's in front of you, and you just keep moving. You don't stand still. Songs can say in musicals last, say, 3 to 4 minutes sometimes, and you can take a shot from one angle, you can take a shot from another angle, and you just keep moving them around. Songs where there's one I remember from American Idiot in a recent shoot, where it's a song where the woman is being very powerfully shouting at the main lead tunny, I think it is, and so you sort of think, well, I want to give her some power, so you get down low and give her that power in the image. But you learn every show that you do. I think sometimes the most difficult ones are the dancing ones, because you are sometimes firing a lot of photographs off in there, but yeah, it's just literally, it's just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. You learn how the lighting works. You talk to the lighting people. You sort of see, you take an awful lot of test photographs before everything goes off. You just sort of keep doing it, and it really is. I have no secret formula other than you just do it.
Just hope that it comes out.
Oh no,
really,
you don't.
really well.
I sort of, yes, I do hope that some of them I do. There are some precious shots that you do in some of the bigger shows, and you are. I think a lot of. I've had a few times when I've been told, please get that shot. Please make sure you do it. It's. I've got a couple of funny stories about key shots, but we can talk about those later if you wish. But it's. There are some things you sort of make sure you have to do, but sometimes you've got to also let your creative side take over and just sort of let the show and the lighting sort of help you, but you've still got to sort of let yourself go with it. But yeah.
Thank you. So I'm interested, how many shows have you done now? Do you know the number?
Well,
roughly,
it's 36 now.
Wow.
So it started off with almost one a year, and then I got involved with a theatre company. I think I did say 2 or 3 a year, and then you get involved with another theatre company. They say do it, so you sort of start to sort of get a go with them. But yes, 36, something like that. Yeah, it's it scared me when I counted them out yesterday. Really, to be honest. And they're all of a very different nature. There have been some really big ones at Derby Theatre, some really intimate ones at in Belper, and it's all have had their own interests and had their own challenges. So it's never boring.
What sort of challenges do you normally find that you face then when you're doing a show?
Capturing the big moments. Sometimes the lighting is always a challenge, because I get involved in the dress rehearsal, and there may still be some technical issues to sort of try and capture. So sometimes the actors may not sort of step into the light as they do in the sort of later as the play's done. But actually sometimes they make some of the best images, because you can capture some really sort of unusual ones, those, and make them sort of arty, to use a phrase. To be honest, it's just, I think the main challenge sometimes with me is to just make sure that I capture everybody. I actually capture the essence of the show, and make sure that I'm telling a story with the series of photographs that I take. And it's and the people can look at the photographs and be happy, and I really hope that that's what happens when they look at them.
And going back to what you said earlier, so you sort of shadowed other photographers, followed YouTube videos, so you're very self-taught with your photography.
Certainly, yes.
What would you recommend for other sort of aspiring photographers that maybe want to get into that, to sort of going down an educational route and getting sort of a degree might not be the right method for them?
Yes, I mean, I don't have any photographic qualifications at all. And if anybody hears that and wishes to employ me in the future, please don't not employ me because I haven't got any qualifications. But no, I would just suggest, if you get the chance to do it, then please do sort of just try, just offer to photograph a friend's play if they're doing something, or a school play if you can get in. Just photograph people on the street and just get used to sort of anticipating movement and looking at the where light is. Just, I think I can not endorse anything more than just try and get in and do something.
Build your portfolio up as you go.
Yes. You may have to sort of find the really local sort of theatre group, and that are doing, I don't know, LOLO in the village hall or something like that, and just get used to sort of dealing with people and talking with people, and the sort of those little bits and bobs of things that as you develop your skill, you learn to cope with. I mean, the pressure is sometimes is to sort of design the way of you working, that you've got to make sure that you get a backup of the photographs. You've got to make sure that you can deal with the photographs quite quickly afterwards, because some theatre companies want them out in the next morning to help promote the show and help sell tickets. So just keep going out there and taking photographs. It's and don't just look at theatre stuff. Actually do all sorts of other styles of photography, because I've tried all different sorts of photography, and they all come into play when I'm taking these shots.
Is there a particular style that you enjoy the most for photographs?
So the style that I would base my theatre technique on, it really is like a street photography thing. It's just sometimes you are standing waiting for someone to step into the light, someone to sort of do that particular thing. I've tried street photography. It can be a bit scary. This is obviously massively less scary, and people know that you are taking photographs there, but it does help just sometimes standing still, learning to anticipate, but also being prepared to sort of move around. But sometimes landscape photography is kicked in when you are looking at the bigger picture and you're looking at leading lines. And just one other tip I could always give is I never shut. People will say that you shut eyes when you look through the viewfinder, and you keep one eye open and one eye shut. I never do, because I'm always trying to look at something that's coming in from the left to the right. Yeah, just keep that peripheral vision going. But yes, just have experience of taking all sorts of photographs. Just keep taking photographs. That's the simplest thing. That's all I ever did, was just take photographs, take photographs, take photographs. So.
That's a wonderful takeaway.
It's great. So, I mean, you mentioned earlier you got some funny anecdotes. I'm interested in these now. I want to learn more.
Well, there's sort of two I've got. I was lucky enough to be asked by Hena Musical Theatre Company to take the full Monty over at Mansfield, and I got there. I hadn't done any of the rehearsals. Sometimes I've been involved in some of the rehearsals, and when I got there, Lucy, who runs Hena Musical Theatre Company, told me that actually at the end, there is the big reveal at the end, and they are going the full Monty. There's no hiding away from it, but they hadn't tried it because they wanted a closed set. But they said, can you come on the closed set to do this thing before we actually do the full dress rehearsal? So I said, well, how am I going to cope with that? And they said, oh, don't worry, when they do the big whipping off of the jock straps, we're going to have a big flash of light. Nobody will see anything at all. Okay, so I watched this and learned that actually, yes, that's what the flash of light is. But then sort of about halfway through photographing the show, I'm thinking, my camera can take something like 10 to 12 frames a second. So unless that light really hits the right thing, when I get back, so if I've taken 10 photographs very, very quickly, there is a good chance that I shall be looking at my computer at midnight when I'm going through all the different shots. I shall have to go through perhaps 10 to 20 photographs, hoping that I'm not going to have men's genitalia all flashed all over the screen. But luckily enough, I don't know who was operating the light that day, but they really got it spot on. So not once, because there is this lovely key shot in the full Monty where they're all holding their jock straps up at the right time and the big flash of light, so you just get the silhouettes. But got that one. I was really proud of that one, which was yes, but no men's genitalia on the screen. So the second one was,
that's the one lighting cue you want to go well.
Oh
isn't it?
God, yes.
The stage manager has got to call that perfectly, otherwise.
And Lucy, if you're listening to this, please pass on my ever thanks to the person that hit that marker with that light. So, so the second one is for Carrie the musical, of which I got there, and it'd been a long time since I'd read Carrie. I'd read it as a sort of a 17, 18-year-old, which is far too long ago now. And they kept talking, as I came in, people kept sort of saying, oh, are you going to get the big drop? Are you going to get the big drop? And I just couldn't think what they're on about. And then I remembered, obviously, at the end of Carrie, there is the big blood drop when she's being pronounced prom queen. And so taking the photographs all the way through, and I can see where the blood's going to drop. I can see that bit. So you take shots of the other thing, and then you don't take shots all the way through every song. So I use those sort of times just to sort of test out, can I get that shot there? Where will that, can I get the person in that particular thing? So I'm all ready. I'm absolutely primed up. I've sort of tested it 3 or 4 times, and that shot's coming, and I know it's building and it's building. And so Carrie goes up to the sort of the stage and is sort of about to be pronounced prom queen, and she's getting the sort of the tiara on her head. I'm thinking, right, I am ready. I am in position 1. I am sharp, and you can hear the cues going on for the blood. And just as the blood's about to go, because all I want is a shot of Carrie with the blood hitting her face and this explosion of red and the look of shock on her face. And somebody stepped right in front of the shot.
No.
That is the closest I have ever come to shouting out a massive expletive very loud. And it's not something you can't just say, sorry, could you just do that again because I didn't catch it. But luckily enough, I missed the sort of that, but I then got the bit where literally it was just dribbling down her face. So I sort of was okay with that, but just this shot that I've been building in my head, the tension I'm thinking, God, please don't miss it, Chris, please don't miss it. And then all of a sudden, just this one person just moved right in front. And ironically, it was one of the cast was taking a photograph of that particular moment as part of the play. And it was a bit like, ironically, I was beaten to the shot by another photographer. So, oh well, never mind.
Well, we can't talk to any of our guests without mentioning the elephant in the room that is 2020. And we've done this with all our guests. I know it's a horrible subject to bring up. But obviously with theatres being non-existent this year, I'm interested for you, Chris, how has COVID really affected you, and what have you been doing to make up for it? And what are your future plans post-COVID? Now we've got some kind of hope and some sort of future in the pipeline. What are you looking forward to do most?
Right, well, some of you may or may not know, I work full-time for the NHS. So my 2020, apart from sort of, hasn't really changed an awful lot from my day-to-day. So I've been going into work every day, and there is obviously been the stresses associated with working in the NHS. I'm not a frontline nurse or doctor. I work sort of in the back bits, but do other things to help that hospital tick over. So, but it obviously has massively affected me photography wise. Oklahoma was planned, and that was sort of really sadly shut down. I'd done all the portraits for all the headshots for that, and I could see all the excitement in everybody's faces and hear the songs coming together. And there was other plans going on, so they all sort of had to be put on the back burner. And it's been really sad to see how it's affected you guys, really. And theatre groups that I've worked with and loved working with, and people that are sort of just so sad about it all. But I sort of had to keep myself sort of ticking over photography wise. So I more thought of a personal project to do with the NHS. So in Easter this year, I thought to myself, well, I'd like to try and do something to sort of promote the NHS, because everybody kept saying key workers this and key workers that. And I'm thinking, well, there's an awful lot of people work for the NHS, not just doctors and nurses. They work. There's cleaners that keep the room clean so that you can go in. There are maintenance staff that make sure that everything works. There's admin that makes sure you get there. There's people that dispense the drugs, people that get the drug, and all sorts of people work in the NHS. And I just decided, I put together a project called We Are the NHS, which is an awful lot of, which is a series of 17 photographs of people who work for the NHS. I wanted to not necessarily concentrate on the COVID side of things. I wanted to more concentrate on the people that they are. So we sort of took photographs of people in particular roles, and we had quite a wide ranging set of roles, but also they all had sort of quite different hobbies. We had a taekwondo expert. We had somebody that works part-time for the Royal Navy. We've had a rugby coach, a part-time policeman. We've had an actor, long distance swimmer, Ironman, all these sorts of people. So I produced a series of photographs of portraits to do with that. So that was just sort of keeping myself ticking over. And I was lucky enough to have 2 of those picked to feature in a national exhibition down in London. So
wow.
Yes.
That's incredible. Well done.
Quite shocked.
I've seen your the We Are the NHS campaign on your social medias, and it is absolutely incredible. It's
spectacular photos.
Yeah, and it's quite a motivating time of reading through it, and it's brilliant. So where can our listeners find that project then?
Okay, so they can find them on my sort of social media page, but there also are various links that you can get through to them via. I did them in partnership with our hospital Air Arts charity, who do some fantastic work over at the Royal Derby and all our other hospitals. So they have a link there, and we are hoping to get what they call the virtual gallery up and running in the next sort of few weeks, so they'll be able to see them online. So I'm happy to send you those links through so that people can sort of click onto them. They will be
absolutely. We'll share it around as much as we possibly can.
Yes, it's all sort of a useful thing. But my future plans is it's given me a thought that I owe an awful lot to the NHS. You know, they keep a roof over my head and food in my belly, but I also owe an awful lot to you theatre people. You've brought me into your family. You've been kind enough to sort of keep liking my photographs and keep sort of being happy with them, and and keep asking me back to take more photographs. So I have a very early stage project in my head that I could do that sort of thing, but with some of the theatre people, because it would be nice to show that there are people behind these, the masks of the actor, that they have their own sort of little bits and problems, theatre and sort of theatre companies like Adam runs. So people like Adam and Matt Powell and Barry from Four Blokes and Miklos and Ollie and all those sorts of people, you may well be contacted by me in the new year. I just need to sort of get some things going. So when we're all safe again and when we can all take photographs, even if I have to wear some sort of full-scale hazmat suit to do the photographs, it's something, and I think it would work well, and I think it would help promote local theatre, because you guys have taken a hell of a bashing, and to be asked to sort of do retraining when, well, I'm not going to get into any sort of political rant, but it's something I sort of want to do as another sort of personal project, and I think it would help push the theatre world back into public view and stop people forgetting. And I think it's such a nice bunch of people, and it's any help that I can be, I will be.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds so fantastic. Thank you for that. And I'm sure as soon as that's up and running, you're more than welcome to come back on the podcast, and we'll have a chat with you about that again there, because that does sound brilliant, and we'll be sharing that. I'm sure we'll be sharing that as the podcast carries on. So I think we need to do a bit of a handbrake turn into something a bit less serious now. Normally at this point in the podcast, Adam likes to ask some interesting questions. He has a selection that he chooses from. Now, I don't condone any of this. I stay well clear of this. So I've given Adam's task of asking his questions this week to Lucy. So, Lucy, do you want to ask away your questions, or would you rather questions?
Oh, yes. Now,
Lucy, there was an awful lot of excitement then when you went, oh yes. If only people could see the way that she leaned into the camera then, almost rubbing her hands with like, there we go. So let's go for it, Lucy. Yes.
Well, now you're a photographer. I imagine you've seen many things in your time.
Yes.
And this doesn't have to be theatre based. It can be sort of any sort of personal photography projects. Have you ever had somebody come in with just some very bizarre requests for you? Like somebody's come in and said, I want a maternity photo shoot for my dog, that sort of thing.
No, not really. Sometimes it's more, you go along prepared for one thing and somebody then all of a sudden throws you into left field and wants something else done. Sorry, my dog's rolling around in the background, as she tends to do when somebody's talking and she isn't being paid attention to. Yes, she's going to burst through the door in any minute now. No, nothing unusual, and it's a sad disappointment, isn't it? That, because I'd like to have a crack at something unusual. So bring it on. If people want to sort of in the future sort of think, do you know what? I have a pregnant dog. I really want some maternity photos of her. Then
be very careful what you say, Chris.
It's like a Dachshund, darling.
Happy to take on any sort of challenge. That's what you sort of have to do as a photographer, and you just have to go, okay, yes, right, let's go for it. Yeah. So what
sort of 180 curveballs have people thrown at you then?
As I say, sometimes it's more you go along thinking that you're about to take something and it's sort of completely different to what you sort of thought it was going to be. I can't think of any massive sort of 180 curveballs, because you learn as you go along. You sort of think, well, all right, that might not be happening, so I've got to get ready for this, and this. So I am less shocked by things now when all of a sudden things take a violent veer to the left or to the right with stuff. I think the only things when it's ever really been nervous is taking photographs when actually you've had an audience in, or when something's gone wrong in the sort of dress rehearsal. But nothing really. And so, yeah, it's. I think I need some curveballs, don't I, to get some more stories. Yeah. So let's. Yeah, so, but if anybody's thinking of employing me in the future, then please don't try and reduce the number of curveballs, but I'm ready for it always, so.
He's a photographer of action, this man.
Absolutely.
And I'm obviously sort of like positioning and sort of lighting is very important. Have you ever had to have any sort of weird setups or get into any sort of like weird positions to get the right shots?
Yes, Derby Theatre. Obviously, it's sort of that. I've taken a few there: Oliver, Phantom, Cats, both of the American Idiot ones. But they've got quite a shallow bit to the sort of between the front of the stage and the front row. So and sometimes that gets packed with bits and bobs of stuff, and there's cables running here, there, and everywhere, as they tend to do in dress rehearsals. So sometimes they have to run 2 or 3 rows back to make sure that you get the right level of cast or the right amount of the casting. And sometimes you have to, like I said earlier on, is you have to sort of squat down to give a powerful image for a powerful song. And I do remember getting stuck between two sets because I got down really low and was sort of just doing that. And then because I was just thinking, I've got to hold my camera still, and then, but I need to get up quickly because I know that they're all disappearing off the other side of the stage. I got stuck. So I'm almost rolling around like a turtle on the back, trying to sort of get up. And I think in the end, I just had to just almost roll onto my front and just come out. But yes, unusual angles. Oh, done those, yes. And you are almost sometimes balancing on one foot, or I've tripped up a few times, tried to carry it off gracefully, running upstairs in the dark. Yeah, it's, but yeah, you do have to try and do all for the art, and sometimes you're sneaking around backstage to get some shots in from the side of the stage. But yeah, that was the one that I have to say a couple of times I got stuck between seats because just with your camera and everything, you can't get up very easily at all. So I've decided to just more kneel down now as opposed to going for that real arty lie down. And it's yes, the more you get to know me, the more you'll learn there are even more catastrophic stories about me in real life. We'll save that for another podcast then. Yeah. So.
Bro, we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left. So do we want to go into these would you rathers, Lucy?
Oh yes, so this is a segment that normally Adam handles. So he does like would you rather questions. So I'll give you the question, you answer.
And they're all deadly serious. They're like psychological. These are very important.
Okay, I embrace
the depths of your soul to answer.
Yeah.
So the first question is for you, Chris. Would you rather have duck feet or a pig snout for a nose?
Ooh, I'd rather have duck feet because it would mean that I've got unusual feet anyway, but I would rather have duck feet in a completely vanity way because I don't think I have it's the pig nose perhaps wouldn't go with, well, I've just bought some new glasses, so it would mean find some new ones. So definitely you can hide them under big socks and yes, and especially coming into the winter and the wet weather as we are today, it's I figure they might be even useful. So
great at paddling.
Yes, swimming speed and things like that. So it's yeah.
Well, I've got flat feet, so I know what it's like living with duck feet. I can handle that. Now, second question, obviously being a photographer, visuals is very important to you. Would you rather have an ugly face but a ridiculously hot body? Or would you rather have the most beautiful, most stunning face imaginable but a hideous body? And why?
That's a good one. I think I'd rather have the face. I think you can always try and correct the body, but unusual, a nice face is something that I think I would probably prefer. Yes, it's the body's covered up by clothes unless you are massively bodily confident and wish to wander around in just a pair of trunks, which British weather really doesn't allow for, does it? So definitely the face and the body. The body's covered up with clothes, it's fine.
See, being a woman, I'd have said the other way, but I could just trowel on makeup and just make it look however I wanted.
Well, yes, it's but no, I think I'd have to be sort of say go for the visuals of the face, and especially sort of doing a lot of portrait photography recently. It's of course the true question should be is would you rather have a great personality, but yeah, let's go for the face. Yeah, so the body.
I like that. That's a good answer. Now, you've just said you had new glasses recently.
Yes.
They are very nice, like them.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes.
But would you rather never need glasses or never have back pain for the rest of your life?
Oh, I would rather never have back pain. I actually really like glasses. I've worn them since I was in my 3rd year at school, which is a number of years ago. Funny story with that, I went for an eye test at school, as you were supposed to in those days. You had to stand by the corner of the classroom when the eye test was at the far side. And when it came to doing the eye test, the lady that was taking the eye test accused me of cheating on the eye test. I said, well, you've already told me you think I'm short-sighted, so I'm further away over there than I am over here. So how the heck can I sort of cheat or memorize? Because you don't sort of say, oh yes, that's correct. So I love my glasses. I love wearing the glasses. So yes, and I hate back pain. It's I definitely want to retain my glasses. Having to wear glasses and no back pain would be the preferable thing. Back pain would stop me getting into the positions where I could get stuck in the.
You can certainly get a lot more interesting positions without back pain.
Yes. I'm still waiting for the whole effort when either Matt or Adam asked me to sort of swing down from the rafters or something like that on some sort of Peter Pan set of wires to get the photograph. So yeah, guys, don't think of that one. Yes, it's so there we go. So yes, so there we go.
And finally, the most serious one. Are you ready for this one?
Let me take it. Right, we're ready.
Would you rather have a fart for a laugh or make fart noises with every step you take?
my other half that's listening in the other room may have different views, but I think a fart for a laugh would be quite funny, don't you? Sooner than walking along and sounding like you're farting every step. But yeah, let's have a fart for a laugh. Yeah, let's go for a fart for a laugh.
Selfie with your photography for that.
Yes. So it'd be massively useful if I had a fart for a laugh, if nobody could produce a comedy in the near future. It's not one of these things where all of a sudden, like in the films, where all of a sudden I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and have a fart for a laugh. And it's not like the sort of flip side of Big or something like that, is it? But let's have a fart. Let's have a fart for a laugh. Yes.
Excellent.
I think our listeners have learned a lot about you there.
Yes, I think they've.
Chris.
Yes, I think they. Yes, those that know me will probably not be surprised by any of those answers, I would imagine.
I think Adam used it to psychoanalyze people personally. I think he's the reason why he asked all these. Well, Chris, we're going to have to wrap up there because we're going to run out of time. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for chatting so openly about everything. It's been amazing to have you on.
No, that's fine. I've really enjoyed it. As you know, in our conversations earlier, it's been a bit nervous, but I've not felt nervous during this at all, and really enjoy speaking to the both of you.
Oh,
it's been great. Thank you, and hopefully we'll have you back on in the future.
Yes, please. It's I'd love to sort of be on again. Yeah, so.
Brilliant.
Yes, I can't wait for your future project. Sounds really exciting.
It sounds amazing.
Yes. So brace yourselves, people, because I'm coming after you in the new year. So.
Great.
All right, guys.
Brilliant. Cheers, Chris. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so thank you very much, Chris, for coming on and chatting to us. Hopefully we'll have you on to sort of talk about your future projects in the very near future. But we have reached the end of episode 7 of the podcast. Lucy, have you enjoyed guesting this week?
I have had a wonderful time guesting. Thank you for inviting me, Ben.
Well, I think guesting is the word, because you've been guest hosting, but you've been covering for Adam Guest, so you've been guesting. Woohoo! Look at that play of words I've literally just invented that's going to be on all the socials this week. But thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we will work out some ways to have you back on in the future. It's been such a pleasure to be chatting with you, and hopefully Adam's not too jealous.
I'm sure he won't be. I'm sure you're missing his silly voices deep down.
Oh no, I'm really not. No, but seriously, Adam, we'll see Adam hopefully next week. But Lucy, would you, hopefully, would if there was a possibility, would you like to come back on and guest host in the future?
Well, I'd love to if people have me.
I mean, yeah, we'll see what your reception is first. We need to find out what people say. But you can tell we've had someone different on, because we've overran on podcast time. We've smashed the hour. I think we're going to be on an hour and 10 minutes at this rate. So extra long episodes, which who knows that will perform well or not. We'll see at some point in the future. But
before we go though, Ben, I think as it's Christmas, you deserve a special wish. Are there any wishes?
A special wish?
Mind? Yeah, you can give
put me on the spot.
Wish. However, there is a proviso with this wish.
Okay.
It will be corrupted.
Sorry, what was that?
It will be corrupted.
The wish will be corrupted.
So think wisely.
Oh God. I think my wish is for is to have you on as a guest host again in the future for season 2. In the future.
Really? Well, that's just
wish.
That's just corruption in itself.
That's it. I think I managed to get around that in a polite and kind way, I think, without offending you, which is great.
I don't think I can corrupt that, Ben, because you just have to put it with my weird antics.
Yes.
Misery on yourself.
Yeah. Why do I do it to myself?
No, you just love that. I just think you just love like inflicting this on yourself.
God, no. I used to see you 3 or 4 times a week for a period. Yeah, that was a fun few months. No, but in all seriousness, it has been lovely to have you on. Corrupting wishes. I don't know. I need to have a think. What? Give me an example.
Okay, well, a good example would be you wish for a fancy car. Okay, but you're not going to have an engine in that car.
Oh, that's evil. So now I don't want to wish anything too nice because then you might corrupt something in a really sinister way. I can't think of one. I think you're gonna have to give me one. I'm gonna have to corrupt your wishes.
Okay then. Oh, okay. I wish for a basket of puppies because I've missed petting dogs.
Oh God, my mind went to a really dark place, and I don't want to. I was like, could they all be dead? I don't know. Oh God. Yes, but you have limited access to your basket of puppies. You're only allowed to see them for like 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day?
That's it. That's all you're allowed.
I can live with that. I mean, if you'd have thrown me that wish, I'd have said granted, but you've got no hands to pet those puppies.
Oh. Okay. It's a bit nicer than all the puppies are dead, but
Oh no! No, I don't want those.
Oh God. I think that is a beautifully dark note to end. All the puppies are dead. Oh God.
Cry in the corner.
I've got to go and sit and edit this mess tomorrow. Oh God. On that lovely note, normally we put Adam back in the podcast cupboard, but seeing as he's locked himself in it this week, I'm just going to have to let you go free.
Yes.
Lucy. You've escaped without being locked away. I mean, we could lock you away for season 2, and then we could potentially have you on again. But oh, she is going to cupboard. She's going. Good. But no. Again, thank you so much for dropping everything and for coming on and guesting. So I'm not just talking to my laptop for an hour. But it's been great to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope everyone listening has enjoyed themselves today.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again all for listening. Again, remember, you can follow us on all our social medias, and again, we want to hear from you about Pantos. Yes, the Panto special. You have got until Saturday, the 12th of December, to get in your Panto stories, anecdotes, fails, pictures, videos, anything. Send us them and we will talk about them. We really, 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 really want to hear from you. Again, you can send us an email at encoreoffstagepod@gmail.com, or you can follow us on all our social medias at encoreoffstagepod.
And don't forget to check out Chris Clarke's NHS project.
Yes, please do. We'll be sharing them on our social media, so check out there. But yes, and you can follow Chris on all of his social medias. You search for him at Chris Clarke Photography, and he'll come up there. And yes, please do share and support his We Are the NHS project. Right, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And hopefully me and Adam will be back next week. If we're not, we may have Lucy again. Or we might have Lucy again anyway. Who knows? And so yes, we'll be seeing you at some point in the future. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to the Encore Offstage podcast. If you fancy, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Encore Offstage Pod.
We also have a YouTube channel where we upload a video version of this podcast, and that's also at the Encore Offstage podcast. Remember, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your podcast app of choice.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll both be back next week. The Encore Offstage podcast is produced by Ben Bradley and Adam Guest. It is edited by Jack Spores and Ben Bradley.